doing something? There we go. Is that me? It's a me. It's a me. 10 minutes late. No, 15 minutes late. New year, same me, same me, same schedule. Yep, yep. Hey, what's up? Oh, I almost said Guadam, but you're not Guadam, you're Adam. How you doing, bro? Like, yeah, first green stream of the new year. New Year's, new hat actually. Although this hat is not new. This is like a very old hat. Yeah, I figured it wasn't your first. Well, no, technically it is your first green stream of the new year because this is the first time I've done a stream of the new year. Let's see. Let me do streamer stuff before I share this this bad boy out real quick. I have to do the promo horror stuff. Less I want, no one will see it. Alright. Alright. Ugh. This kind of looks alright on camera. But I feel like it looks better in person. But, I mean, it's green. The only green beanie that I have at my disposal right now. Actually, that's not true. I do have another green hat. But it is the Christmas hat, which I couldn't find for my Christmas stream. But, you know, it is what it is. It'd be like that. I'll have another use for it at some point in time. Oh, what's good, Omega? How you doing? Hey, what's good? What's good? Alright. Oh, what's up, Josiah? How you doing? Digging the hat? Yeah, thanks. I was just telling everyone that. Sometimes I need to, like, take a second because my mouth doesn't know how to, like, work with what my brain is trying to communicate. But, yeah, I was just telling everyone in the chat that I had, like, this guy just hanging out with my clean laundry. So I could have used this for my my Miles Morales stream, but I just didn't. But, you know, is what it is. How did I spend my time? Oh, I spent my time working and reading comics, which actually isn't that bad. You know, I read a lot of really good comics over the holiday season. I treated myself very generously. I had a whole situation where I'm not sure if you guys heard about the whole Southwest situation with, like, Southwest Airlines. But yeah, my girlfriend and I were supposed to go visit my family in Chicago, and like the day before we were supposed to fly, like they start bullshitting everyone, and I mean, our flight wasn't outright canceled, but I didn't want to take the risk of being stranded in a completely different state for like a week with no hotel. I just wasn't doing that. I wasn't gonna run that risk, so I kind of like just I got a refund and I just bought some comics. I treated myself to some comics. Looks like you're wearing a frog on your head. I mean, Yeah, kind of like a weird like frog with goat ears. So I guess like a Chernobyl frog. Cherno frog. Frogman. Yeah, Frogman. Frogman's gotten a lot of love lately. He was in like the Cantwell Iron Man series as well as She-Hulk, um, which I didn't watch, but I'm told he was goofy, and I mean I guess that's like the point of Frogman. Um, did anyone in the chat watch She-Hulk? Like, I wonder if they like made any references to Spider-Man, because like Frogman is Spider-Man's #1 fan. Plot twist: the frog the frog is wearing you on its butt. Oh, didn't know we were streaming on Pornhub. Not I should have said that. Didn't know we were streaming on the Hub. This is still YouTube, good sir. Keep it PG. Keep it classy. Mystical Green Battletoad. Oh man. That's a meme, but I actually do want to play Battletoads. That meme was so memed in high school, it memed me into wanting to play Battletoads, like unironically. Like, is Battletoads available anywhere? I would stream myself playing that. I would stream that. I watched the first episode of She-Hulk. That was enough for me. I hear that is the general consensus for that show. I have that with a lot of the Disney Marvel Plus shows. Like, I watched the first episode, and I'm watching it with the mindset of, well, I gotta watch it because, you know, I'm gonna do a review about this show. And then I get like 3 episodes in, and I'm like, this show sucks. And then I get to the end of it, and it's like, oh, what? I'm not gonna talk about this. Like, I'm just not. I'm not. That's actually the real reason why you guys haven't seen me do any reviews for a lot of like the Disney Plus, like Marvel Studios TV shows. Just, I go into them wanting to do like videos about them, but I also just don't want my channel to be like super negative. Oh, what's up, Supreme? And I don't feel much positivity coming out of those shows, so I just don't. I don't see like a real reason to like review them. That's why I haven't really watched the other stuff that's come out, like the Werewolf by Night show or special. I watched part of the Guardians holiday special. I thought it was fun, but I don't know. Isn't it a bit late for reviewing She-Hulk? I mean, I guess if I want to be like a real YouTuber and be topical, but I guess I'm not a real YouTuber. I just kind of like talk about what I like when I feel like talking about it. Josiah, have you seen Legion? I have seen Legion. I've seen parts of Legion. I saw the first 2 seasons. And did I watch the end of it? I don't know. I don't remember if I ever finished the show or not. But I did. I remember liking what I watched of it. Granted, I'm not a big X-Men dude, so when it comes to the larger like mythos of X-Men, I am a complete lost cause. That's probably why I like the X-Men movies so much. I'm not a big X-Men dude. But as a TV show, as a science fiction show, I really enjoyed it. Supreme, I've been watching the Batman 2004 show, best animated version of Babs and Dick even better than Batman the Animated Series versions of Babs and Dick. I agree. Like, but I have I think I've said this before. I'm not the biggest fan of Batman the Animated Series. Like, I know for a lot of people that's the benchmark of Batman adaptations, but for me, it's just not my thing. Especially like in the later seasons with like the redesign, Batman's just kind of a dick, like for like no real reason. And there's just like animosity between Dick and Bruce, which you later find out was seeded through Bruce plowing his seed in Barbara. I just, also like the weird Barbara Bruce relationship stuff. I don't know, and also just Bruce being like kind of an asshole to Superman and like the rest of the Justice League. I just don't I don't like the animated. I don't like the DC animated universe version of Batman. I don't. I much prefer the the Batman, which I guess I grew up on, so you know, there's also my bias there, but yeah, I don't know. Not the biggest fan of DCAU Batman. I'm not saying it's not good. Like, I've watched those episodes as a series, as like a narrative. It is it's very good. Leaps and bounds better than most of the other animated shows coming out in the 90s aimed at kids. But I don't know, it's not really my Batman, you know. But it'd be like that. Supreme, I know people love Batman the Animated Series, but New Batman Adventures is the weakest season. Basically proto Bat Jerk. Also not my favorite version of Tim. He's just Jason Todd. Thoughts? That I don't have a major problem with, only because there's like a weird censorship issue, and the reason they couldn't do Jason outright in that series is because you weren't allowed to have a major character die in your show, which was aimed at like 7-year-olds. And like the whole marketing angle of these shows, which I guess is really like the point of them, is to sell toys to like kids and sell backpacks and merchandise. If you're gonna have a character that's set to die, and then you follow through with the promise of that character dying, well then that's kind of just bad business. So I get why the animated series kind of combines Jason and Tim Drake into like one character in that show. I don't hold that against them. I get why they had to do that. It's kind of like with the Spider-Man animated series in the 90s, why they didn't have Gwen Stacy. Yeah, I get it. That's just the situation when it comes to working on like animated projects for a younger audience. Spectacular Spider-Man or Spider-Man the Animated Series? Oh, Spectacular Spider-Man. 100% Spectacular Spider-Man. Yeah, that show's great. For me, that is... Do I want to say it's the ideal version of the character outside of the comics? Do I want to commit to that? am I willing to just, I don't know. It's weird. I think that show does a really good job of taking Peter Parker's world and mythos from the Stan Lee, Steve Ditko era, as well as taking like key elements from the Bendis and Mark Bagley era of Ultimate Spider-Man. I say era; it was really like 100 issues worth of an era out of like 160. So just it's a large era. But yeah, taking like the Stan Lee, Steve Ditko material and like the Ultimate Spider-Man material from Bendis and Bagley and like making one thing. It does a really good job of translating the character from the comics onto screen. But I don't know. I think for me, when it comes like to the characters and like character wise, particularly Peter Parker, I don't know. I still think Andrew Garfield's my favorite adaptation of Peter Parker as a character. Yeah. Well, like if you could like somehow take Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker and put him into Spectacular Spider-Man, then that's like the perfect show, the perfect Spider-Man show for me. I don't know. Also on Batman the Animated Series, I know we praised Bruce Timm and Paul Dini, but they seem to have apathy or even contempt for post-crisis 80s and 90s Batman, because I'm not a fan of their take on Bane. Yeah, that's, I mean, I get it. It's one of those things where they didn't grow up with it, and I could totally see them going like, this new stuff's garbage. Some luchador breaks into Batman's like lair, his domain, his crib, and just breaks his back. It's stupid. I get it. If you didn't grow up on that material that was coming out at the time, you're probably looking at it going like, well, this is dumb, but corporate wants me to like put this in the show, so I guess whatever. I guess I'll put it in the show. But yeah, Bruce Timm and Paul Dini, those are very clearly like Bronze Age Bat fans. Like they grew up on Bronze Age Batman. You could tell from like season 1 of Batman the Animated Series. Oh yeah, absolutely. They are Bronze Age like aficionados. MTV Spider-Man new animated series still low-key slaps. I love that show. That's a great series. It gets canceled, and it's hard to go back to that one because it's really good, and then it just ends with no conclusion in sight, ever. So that sucks, but you know, it is what it is. Supreme says, also I feel Dini and Tim are also guilty of Babs Batgirl nostalgia. It's not just the Dio. Do you agree? Absolutely. But correct me if I'm wrong. Dio, Dini, Bruce Timm, those guys are all like hovering around the same age, right? They're all part of the same generation. I think it is safe to say that Batgirl is like, for them, Batgirl is Barbara Gordon. in the same way that like me and people who grew up in like the 2000s, Batgirl is Cassandra Cain. You know, that just kind of is what it is. It's a generational thing. But I do think a large part of why Barbara is seen as this sort of integral character to like the Batman mythos, like Barbara in particular, is because of the 90s animated series. Not that Barbara's not an integral part of Batman comics throughout the 70s and 80s, but not to the degree that like the animated series makes her out to be. So when a lot of people think of Barbara Gordon and her role as Batgirl and everything she kind of brought to the table for the Bat family, as far as pop culture is concerned, they're thinking about the 90s cartoon, because Barbara was not. She wasn't that for the comics. But yeah. Well, we are 20 more minutes in, and I get. You know what? Let's just talk about favorite comics of 2022. So everyone in the chat, feel free to drop in. But let's just start off with what your top 10 favorite comics of last year was. Just go ham. I don't care. Just go for it. Because I'm going to go for it. You want to see me go for it? That's a rhetorical question. I'm going to go for it regardless of your answer. All right. So I have a pretty sizable list here. And I'm going to like cheat a little bit. These streams are all about like going off the cuff, but I wrote a lot. Like a lot. Because this wasn't supposed to be a stream. This was actually supposed to be like a video that I do, but I was gonna do like a video like this. And I just didn't. And I realized I wasn't going to. Like, these videos take a long time to edit, and I don't know. I feel like it'd just be like way easier to just like talk to you guys, just list off what my top 10 favorite comics were. So yeah, let's do it like this. Let's do it like this. All right. So starting off is I talked a little bit about this on the channel in some of my previous Let's Talk comic streams, but here we have Apocalypse 91, and this book is by my good friend Troy Allen, as well as sorry, I don't know why my throat decided to stop working there, but Regine Sawyer, Jay Grayson, and Chuck D, actually. So yeah, I was like really looking forward to this comic. It's one of those things where I knew about this way before it came out, and I mean, part of the reason it's on my top 10 list is, well, quite frankly, Troy's a good friend of mine. Just nepo points right there. But yeah, no, like I was really vibing with the pitch that he like kind of had back when he described the book to me like years ago, and I don't know, this book, it delivers on all of that. Granted, I'm like, you know, independent of whether or not I was friends with Troy or not, this is up my alley. It's kind of like a weird uh, cross-temporal sci-fi ode to the arts, as music and hip hop particularly, and I don't know, this. It's very trippy. It's very cosmic. It reminds me a lot of the heavy metal movie, but like Heavy Metal 2000 in particular. Like I was like really into Heavy Metal 2000 as a kid, and this kind of gave me like those vibes. I can't describe why, but it definitely hit me with that. You know what? I can't describe why. It's an anthology. It's an anthology that like narratively bleeds in on itself. That's what really got to me with this. And yeah, this is just like, this is my shit. Look at the art. The art's beautiful. Like absolutely like, I don't want to say breathtaking, but I also want to say breathtaking. There's a lot of like really weird, like trippy, imaginative like stuff in here. It's I don't know. I dug this book. It's yeah. This is definitely something that was on my radar for 2022, and I felt it delivered on the hype. I'm also seeing that on the stream you can barely see what I'm trying to point out too. Like the camera doesn't do it justice. It really doesn't. Also like the weird like world building that's done here with like all the cyberpunk stuff when you get to like the future. It's really good. Very powerful imagery there too. Like I don't know. This book's great, and it's one of my top 10 favorite comics of the year, or I guess last year. Omega says Jurassic League. Jurassic League was really good. It almost made it to my top 10 list. But there were a lot of really good comics that came out this year, or I guess last year. Like, I don't know how the rage bait channels are surviving. Like, I really don't. Like, they have to be like scraping like the anals of the bottom barrels, because frankly, there's a lot of really good comics coming out right now. there just are. Like making this list was difficult. But yeah, Jurassic League, it was almost on my list. I'm a big Daniel Warren Johnson fan. Actually, like 3 of his books almost made it to my list. I guess two of his books almost made it on my list. One of his books kind of did, but he's like just doing the covers for it, which you'll see later in the video, or I guess the stream. Yeah, Jurassic League didn't make it, and Dual Powerbomb didn't make it. But they were definitely up there. Like, absolutely. Starhenge. Hey, shut up. We're almost there. Hey. Stop spoiling the show. Stop looking into the future. I see you. But the next book on this list is Venom by Al Ewing and Ram V, as well as Brian Hitch. Yeah, how this book is on my list, why this book is on my list. I'm allergic to the thought, but also my room is dusty as fuck. But allergic to the thought first and foremost. Like, why is this book so good? Like, this book has no reason to be this good. It's kind of insane. It's like, okay, I really enjoyed what Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman were doing with Venom. You know, I thought they did a really good job of kind of like taking the Venom mythos and like divorcing it from Spider-Man. And I mean, I don't know. I didn't. I liked the Donny Cates run, but I didn't think it was like the Godfather of comics, like a lot of people did a couple years ago. I thought it was fine. I thought it was a really cool, like, metal. I thought it was cool. I thought it was really fun, but like, some people were out here like just jerking off their imagination to that comic, and I was like, all right, I guess. Ryan Stegman's art is cool. I'll give you that, but I don't know. I was kind of like apprehensive of reading more of like that style of Venom. Like I was just like, all right, King in Black, Galactic Venom. I guess sure. But my buddy Jack Genocide has been on the channel before, and I hope we can do more videos in the future. We've definitely talked about it. But he's really been trying to get me to read this. And I finally caved, like, 2 or 3 weeks ago. And, I mean, it wasn't that hard. Like, I like Ram V. I love Al Ewing. Brian Hitch is hit or miss for me. You know, I like Brian Hitch. And granted, he has more hits than misses. So going into this, you know, quite reluctantly, I'll say, I knew the book was going to be good, but I didn't expect to love it. Like, this takes everything that Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman, as well as Rick Remender, when he was doing like Venom Space Knight, it takes everything that the past creative teams in recent years have been kind of like building into the mythos of Venom, and it just kind of picks up that ball and like throws it into the stratosphere, and then like flies up and then catches it and then throws the ball again. Like, it's taking those concepts to its furthest extreme. Like, you have the symbiotes like communicating with each other through like time and space, but they're also communicating with themselves because they're a hive mind, and Eddie is a part of that hive mind. And you have Eddie Brock like engaged in this like trans-temporal time traveling 5-dimensional chess match with himself from the past. This book has no right to be as good as it is, but holy shit, this is great. Also, I'm sure for like corporate synergy reasons, Kang the Conqueror is the villain in this, but by God, they make it work so well. They make like everything in this book works so well. I don't know how this book is on my list, but it is. It's great. I love it, and yeah, this is like a major recommendation for like anyone who's really into like weird sci-fi, time travel, space shenanigans. Yeah, this is great. I say as I just toss it on my bed. It's fine. It's fine. It's a trade paperback. It'll be all right. Omega says there was Dark Crisis, so Rage Channel has got some food. That's true. Dark Crisis wasn't good. But granted, if you're bitching about like comic events like by now, we all know they suck. Like we all know comic events suck. If that's like your main thing, you've officially run out of content. Venom. Yeah, dude, I got venomed. I did. Can't help it. Space Knight wasn't Remender? Wait, who did Venom Space Knight? I thought that was Rick Remender. It was Robbie Thompson. Oh, okay. Never mind. Alright, fine. Fine. You can have my nerd card. Wait, hold on. Wait, no, wait. I'm gonna look up Rick Remender though. I know he did Venom at some point, right? Okay, he did do Venom at some point. He just didn't do Space Knight. Okay. Alright. Fair enough. I think it was part of that run though, right? No? I don't know. You can take my nerd card. I'll get it back. Trust me, I can get it back real easily. It's not that hard to get a nerd card from me. Supreme on the Robin reading list. I've read Nietzsche's Robin, the run before Red Robin. It's bad. It's another round of Bruce abusing Steph, forcing her to betray Tim by exploiting her guilt and trauma over war games. Well, thankfully I haven't read that material. Is that part of the 1 year later stuff? Because I did not read Robin 1 year later. I think I read some of the Chuck Dixon stuff. And I've read Red Robin. Yum. That's about it. I haven't read the stuff between that so much. I mean, you saying it's bad means that I don't have to read it. And everything you're describing, I definitely don't want to read that. I'm like, when did Batman become like just a total like irredeemable asshole? Like when does that turn happen? I know in pop culture it happens because of like the 90s animated series, because Batman is just like a cold-hearted like piece of shit in that show. But like in comics, like Bruce is a generally like, he's intense and he's obsessed, but he's not a dick. What's up, aggressively relaxing? Yeah, it was a really good year for comics. I agree. What were your top 10 favorite comics? But that's what I was saying earlier. Yeah, like I'm like trying to think, like Batman through like the late 80s under Jim Starlin, he's like not really an asshole. Again, he's obsessed and he's intense, but he's not like an asshole. Then you get like the Alan Grant material in the 90s. Again, obsessed, intense, not a jerk. You know what? I think a lot of it is Chuck Dixon. I think when you get to like Chuck Dixon writing Batman, because he's riffing off of Dark Knight Returns really hard. That's when Batman becomes an asshole. But even then, I don't know, because there's a lot of stuff in like Nightfall, or I guess the pre-Nightfall material, where Bruce is like just kind of standard Bronze Age Batman. Is it No Man's Land? Is that where the change happens? It's gotta be. Because like I don't know, he's just not. I don't know. But I'm really glad that like in recent years, Batman's kind of gotten away from that. And a lot of that starts with Morrison, and then you get like the Scott Snyder run where Bruce is he's crazy, but like he's crazy in a fun kind of way. Um, Tom King is like really kind of channeling some of like the '90s stuff, particularly the animated series. But like season 1 animated series, like he's not really like an asshole that he is in like the later DCAU stuff. I didn't read much of Tinian, but from like the out of context like panels I've seen on Twitter, again, it's the classic Batman. And Zdarsky's just basically writing a PG-13 version of Batman Brave and the Bold. So yeah, I don't know. I'm glad that a lot of modern writers are just kind of like taking Batman back to what he was in the '70s and just kind of going like, let's sober this character up a little bit. let's take the darkness and just kind of let's push you into the light a little more. But I guess like I'll move on to like my next big comic of 2022, which was Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. And Tom King is great. Tom King, he has proven yet again that he gets the Superman family. So far he's 2 for 2. He's 2 for 2. He did the Superman Up in the Sky and Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. He gets it. And Bilquis Evely has proven that she gets the visual language of the DC universe. In fact, let me like crack this bad boy open and show you. I think my favorite visual image is from issue 2, so this is like kind of perfect that I have this right here. Is it issue 2 with like the... Yes, here we go. Where like Supergirl takes the red kryptonite and she turns into like the that like Phoenix Flame Bird, which I think is supposed to be a reference to the Peter David Supergirl material from the 90s, which I haven't read all that stuff, but I'm told this is where like this comes from, and like that's what this is an homage to. But yeah, this is quintessential DC Comics. I love the way Bilquis Evely draws Supergirl. With like the long curly hair and the cheerleading outfit, but I don't know. It's not. And I don't mean this like in like any disrespectful way to Michael Turner. The way Bilquis Evely draws Supergirl, she is feminine, but not like hypersexualized and creepy looking like she was in a lot of the early 2000s material. Like I don't know, it's tasteful. It's very tasteful. It's a lot like the CW Supergirl costume, which I also really liked. I used to hate Supergirl in a skirt, but I don't know. I've come around on it. It's fine. It's fine. I had this whole debate with a buddy of mine, which I guess by extension I was debating myself from years past, where he was going in on like Supergirl wearing a skirt's dumb and it's impractical, and I was like, well, so is Batman being a creature of the night wearing a bright blue cape and cowl with a giant gold belt. But it looks cool, so Robin wearing pixie boots and booty shorts is impractical and dumb, but it looks cool. But I don't know, again, that aesthetics versus practicality, name of the game with the DC universe, because it's all about the heightened experience, and Focus Heavily just kind of nailed that with this book. And something that I don't hear often, but when I do, I can't disagree. Marvel characters are built over years and years of continuity and ongoing storytelling, and you know, it's the soap opera, you know. And on the other hand, you have DC characters who are more or less defined, or I guess in some cases redefined, by iconic standalone graphic novels or miniseries. And I get the feeling that Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow is a prime example of that. And yeah, I don't know, I really do think that in the coming years, in the same way that stories like Dark Knight Returns, you know, heavily influenced Batman, or All-Star Superman really influenced the 21st century take on Superman as a character. I feel like there's going to be a cultural, like, narrative shift in how we tell Supergirl stories after this. I think there's going to be Supergirl before this book and Supergirl after this book. And I mean, that's always for better or worse. You know, there's always a give and take with, you know, that kind of a thing. But I don't know, I really do think that this story is something special for the character Supergirl. And yeah, it's great. Actually, I'm not gonna throw this one. Actually, I'm just gonna lightly put you right here. Same spot as the other books, just I'm not gonna toss them like I did the others. Oh, what's up, Tevia? How you doing, bro? Omega says, being an old man, I still can't take Venom being a good guy. And the whole symbiotes and God stuff, seriously. To me, just like with Alien, the less you know about Venom, the better. No, I definitely feel that. I see where you're coming from. I'm scooping what you're pooping. I feel you. I feel you. But it is one of those things where, I guess growing up, Venom had moved into this age of, you know, well, he's not a bad guy, he's the anti-hero. And anti-hero doesn't really mean anything anymore. Like, anti-hero used to just mean, well, not used to just mean, it used to mean characters who were morally ambiguous, you know. They would sometimes, or I guess a lot of times, do the right things, but for all the wrong reasons. And you could never really trust them, because they weren't honorable characters. They weren't noble. But then you get to, like, the post blockbuster cinematic era, where, you know, you have all these films featuring the good guy with a gun, you know, and he's good because he shot that other guy in the face who was annoying or an asshole, and that makes him good because he's cool. That's I don't know. Anti-hero just kind of turned into good guy who kills people and is cool. And I don't know, that Venom is unfortunately, like, one of the one of the many symptoms of the degeneration of the anti-hero. But we're here now. I don't like being here, but we're here, and I think the past couple writers have done a lot of really interesting things with the character as a result. So that's how I'm taking it. Josiah, quick thoughts on Judgment Day. I actually really liked it. I haven't read Judgment Day. I heard it was tedious and boring from the internet. However, you, as well as a couple of my other friends who did read Judgment Day all at once, said it was really good. So I'll take you up on that. Because you're like not the first person who like I know IRL to tell me that the book is actually really good. So yeah, alright. I'll give Judgment Day a shot. When it comes out in trade. Because I'm not gonna hunt down for all them back issues. That's insanity. that is prime lunacy. Aggressively relaxing. I love Dan Slott's Fantastic Four. The Thing as a dad is one of the best developments in comics. I love What's the Furthest Place from Here, but still no idea what's happening in that book. I see that book in my my local comic shop all the time. I kind of want to check it out. It looks like a weird horror story, and I'm really into horror comics. Although I don't think I have any horror books on my list here. No. I don't have any horror comics on my top 10 list here. Damn shame. Well, don't worry, I'll commit seppuku off screen. What are your best and worst comics of 2022? Well, I'm doing the best comics right now. I can't really say much as to what my worst comics of 2022 were. Because if I wasn't interested in what was coming out, I just didn't read it. I've just gotten to that point where if I'm reading something that I don't like, I just stop reading it. I don't see a point in like stressing myself out over things I don't like. Omega says, I don't know, to me, King's writing of the Superman family is too melodramatic. Not a fan of it. I can see that read. I personally don't have a problem with it because it feels like an ode to the Silver Age and the Bronze Age. It feels very... There's a weird kind of irreverence to it that... I don't know. It's irreverence mixed with grand scale epicness. That just kind of... It feels very... Very, like, Silver Age to me, and I don't mind it. I see what he's doing. I appreciate it, but I also totally get people, like, not vibing with it at all. Like, I get that. But, I guess, like, moving on to my next favorite comic of, oh, go away. I guess moving on to, like, my next favorite book, Batman, by Chip Zdarsky and Jorge Jimenez. Batman's had a very weird history. Past couple years. I feel like the main Batman title has been putting it kindly, extremely rough ever since Grant Morrison left the book. Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo were hit or miss for me. I know I'm in the minority there, but it's, I guess their cake wasn't as frosty to my palate as it was to everyone else's. Good moments here and there, but just overall wasn't quite my thing. Tom King's run though had a very strong start, but somewhere along like the middle of the series, like I think Nightmares. So like after the wedding, after the Mr. Freeze stuff, that's where the book starts to like shit the bed with nuclear diarrhea, and would unfortunately have Tom King succumb to his own fatal feces with that one. Then James Tynion comes onto the book, and I did not interest me in the slightest. Sorry. But then DC announced Chip Zdarsky as the new Batman writer, and Jorge Jimenez was going to continue drawing the Batman title, and that piqued my curiosity because I'm a big fan of Chip Zdarsky. I absolutely adored his run on Peter Parker's Spectacular Spider-Man. That book started out kind of rough, but then over time it got really good. I'm also a big fan of his Daredevil book. But I mean, it's also Daredevil. That's like another reason why this book's not like Daredevil's not on this top 10 list, because Daredevil will be on the top 10 list of every year. Because Daredevil's like consistently good. It's just a universal constant, I suppose. You know, the Earth is always going to revolve around the sun, and Daredevil's always going to be good. That is what it is. Yeah, no, I was looking forward to this because, you know, Chip Zdarsky, Jorge Jimenez, I figured it was going to be really good. I mean, yeah, it was. From issue 1, I am hooked. Like, it's building off of Tower of Babel, and Zdarsky kind of fixes a problem that I had with the Justice League Doom animated movie, where, okay, so the movie ends in a very similar way to the comic Tower of Babel, where the Justice League hold a vote to see if Batman should remain in the Justice League or not. And in the comic, Batman just straight up leaves. But in the movie, Batman has a whole scene with Superman where Superman's like, you have these contingency plans, but you're so fucking arrogant and full of yourself that you didn't have a contingency for yourself. And Batman just kind of like replies, I did have a contingency plan if Batman never went evil. It's called the Justice League. And it's a cute sentiment, but it doesn't make any sense. Because if Batman has contingency plans to kill the Justice League, then the Justice League coming after Batman wouldn't really be a problem, because he already knows how to take them out. It's I get what they're trying to go for with the movie, but it doesn't work. If you spend like more than 2 seconds of thought on it, it just doesn't. And Zdarsky is Zdarsky's aware of that. Zdarsky's aware that point makes no goddamn sense. So, you find out that Bruce built a robot named Failsafe, in case he ever went off the deep end, killed somebody, or someone like took control of Batman's mind and forced him to be like a living weapon for them, and he builds Failsafe as a contingency plan to take out Batman in case anything went wrong. And I don't know, without getting too deep in the spoilers, something happens at the beginning of the series, and Batman is framed for murder. Which, I mean, isn't really the first time that's happened in comics. I mean, there's a whole, like, literally a whole, a whole era called Murder Fugitive. But, I mean, I just kind of, like, chalk up the whole Failsafe coming online thing to Bruce not having access to the cave right now. Which he traditionally does and has had access to for the past like 20 or so years. So yeah, you know, yeah, this run is like only 6 issues deep so far, and it is really dense. Like, so much happens in this comic. You see like Failsafe obliterate like the Bat family. Failsafe like takes on the Justice League. There's a whole bit where Failsafe fights Batman in the Justice League Watchtower, and then Batman doesn't teleport himself out of the tower into the vacuum of space. He teleports the Watchtower lunar base into space itself. And like there's a whole battle between Batman and Failsafe in like Earth's orbit, like Moonraker style, Moonraker style, from like James Bond. This book is delightfully campy. It retains like the grit and grim dark nature of, you know, what Batman fans expect from a Batman comic, but this feels right at home with like some like 1960s like Carmen Infantino Batman comics, or like the Dick Sprang Batman. Like I can totally see that Batman being this Batman. It works a lot, and I'm really into it. I love when Batman comics remember that Batman is a fantastical character that cohabitates the same world as Superman and Starro and Green Lantern and, you know, Etrigan the Demon and all that stuff. So yeah, this is right up my alley. I love this. This is absolutely brilliant. And also the backups are great. There's this whole story surrounding the origins of the Batman of Zur-En-Ah, which is really just kind of like building off of material that Grant Morrison and Tony Daniels reestablished in Batman's lore with Batman R.I.P., but it's taking a lot of that material and like really fleshing it out, and I think it's great. Who's the artist for these, actually? Leonardo Romero and Jordi Belair on the colors. This art's great. It's very Dick Sprang, like an updated Dick Sprang. Yeah, I'm really into this. Also, you have, I noticed this. You have Joker with like the Joker utility belt from the Dick Sprang era. This comic's delightful. I love it. Oh, what's a good opposite? Yeah, Failsafe is peak. Like, absolutely. Yeah, this is DC this is the blueprint for Batman moving forward. I plan to do a video at some point in time talking about like the future of the DC movies, um, as well as like talk with other people about the DC movies moving forward. Um, but this is what I want from like the DC universe, like cinematic Batman. I want this. Like, if Robert Pattinson's Batman is gonna be all like realistic and grounded and Alfred, you don't understand. Justice. I plead justice from my gayness, Alfred. Justice. If that's gonna be like Robert Pattinson's Batman, cool. Have that be Batman over there. But I want this Batman on film. I want like a Batman who hangs out with like Robin and the Justice League fighting aliens with the Forever People. Like, I want this. I want this on film moving forward. And I'm glad it got like brought back in the comics. Like that's like that's the big thing for me. But yeah, I'm a big fan of it right now. Aggressively relaxing. So far, the Batman book has just been Batman comically messing up with a stupid idea that he had. As are most Batman stories, to be fair. Yeah. That's just Batman, I feel. Even going back to like the 60s stuff. Like Robin dies at dawn and shit like that, where Bruce hallucinates an entire situation where he and Robin are on this deserted planet with like dinosaurs, and then Robin dies and Batman tries to kill himself. And then he wakes up, he's like, oh, forget it was a dream, never mind. Anyways, I'm not Bruce Wayne, goodbye guys. Like, it's just par for the course with Batman. Oh, let me answer some of these chats. Scream says Alan Grant is best at creating the Batman villains like Anarchy, Mr. Zaz, Ventriloquist. That's an Alan Grant creation? Huh. Interesting. But yeah, he says, and Chuck Dixon is the defining Batman family writer. But I'm not too fond of their take on Batman himself. Yeah, that's how I feel. When I think of the Bat Family, I think of the Bat Family envisioned by Chuck Dixon. Like, I love his take on the Bat Family, but I just don't like his Batman at all. I think his Bruce Wayne's kind of like a dick unnecessarily. But I really like Alan Grant's Bat Family. Or not Bat Family, Batman. Alan Grant doesn't really do much with the Bat Family all too much. He told a lot of like solo Batman stories and Batman and Robin stories. Aggressively Relaxing says, the only comic I read that I really thought sucked was Heavy Metal Drummer. Heavy Metal Drummer. Heavy Metal Drummer. Hold on a second. I know that name. Okay, there we go. Heavy Metal Drummer. Yeah, I saw this in my local comic shop. Oh, you weren't a fan of this? Oh man, my girlfriend got the first issue. I thought the first issue was pretty dope. Did it just like not live up to the expectations that it set? I thought the first issue was pretty good. But damn, that sucks. It seemed pretty cool. Tevia, except for some characters within Marvel, like Spider-Man, who can't be allowed to grow up and move forward. Um, all of the X-Men. Because you got to think like Chris Claremont wanted to do some things with that character. Not character. Well, when I say that character, I mean like Cyclops. But also like with other characters like Charles Xavier, Magneto, Kitty Pryde. Xavier wanted to do a lot of stuff with a lot of those characters. That he just wasn't allowed to do because the status quo needed to be maintained. And that status quo's kind of been maintained ever since he left the book. Like, okay, for example, Madeline Pryor and Scott Summers were supposed to get married and ride off into the sunset forever. Fuck off. Goodbye. Go live your happy little life. And that never got to happen because the status quo. Charles Xavier was supposed to die. And Magneto was supposed to become the new headmaster of the X-Men. That never happened because the status quo. I forget what he said he wanted to do with Kitty Pryde, but he wanted to do something very weird and interesting. He said so like at a Q&A several years ago, but again, just status quo must be maintained. So yeah, the X-Men have suffered from a lot of stagnation as a result. So it's not just Spider-Man. It's not just Spider-Man. But it is fascinating and kind of depressing, and I'll talk about this in a little bit because this book is also on my list for top 10 favorite comics of the year. It's very fascinating that Wally West, he predates Peter Parker, but like not by much, but like 2-3 years. And Wally is actually supposed to be like a little younger than Peter is in his first appearance. And you look at those two characters now, and Peter is like stalking his ex-girlfriend, and he's like trying to ask out Black Cat, like he's like a 14-year-old trying to ask a girl on a date. So that's Spider-Man. Meanwhile, Kid Flash, again, created around the same time period, is raising his family. He and his wife having another baby. You see in the preview of 1 Minute War, Wally and Linda and the kids are having like a cookout at their house. It just Wally West has progressed as a character so much, and Peter is forever stuck at the same status quo that he was at in like 1978. That sucks. That sucks. How's your New Year's going? Oh, thanks, Tevya. Thanks for asking. It's going all right. Interesting start to my new year. Very interesting start. Lots of highs, lots of lows. But I guess as far as the highs go, I'm working on my Robin cosplay for Katsucon. And it's going pretty well so far, honestly. The hardest part is going to be figuring out the collar. Cause I'm trying to go for like a hybrid of the Teen Titans animated series Robin and like the Dan Mora World's Finest Robin. So I don't know, that's been difficult. But it's not impossible. I can do it. And yeah, I don't know. It's going. It's coming along. It's coming along. And I have like I have all the supplies I need to put the suit together. I gotta put the suit together. That's like the only part now. But yeah, so far my New Year's is going pretty good. Question. Do you? I guess I say like, do you know if Marvel has? Oh, do you know Marvel has no idea what to do with Ben Reilly, and do you believe he will die at the end of the Dark Web event? Well, I'm not reading Dark Web, but my buddy Jack Genocide has like been trying to recommend it to me, so I'll check it out. I'll check it out probably tomorrow when I go back to my local comic shop. Yeah. Quick thoughts on. Wait, isn't that the Punisher mindset? I don't know. I don't know what that means. Sorry. Quick thoughts on the Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths. I found that event to be disappointing. I didn't read it. Like I read the beginning of it, and I thought some of the tie-ins are cool, but for the most part, I didn't care, so I didn't read it. The art was cool though. I'd flip through it every now and again. Like the art was pretty good for the most part. Omega. Question: how do you think Metropolis should look? Be it more in the style of Art Deco, or maybe something modern, maybe high tech or cyberpunk like. So when I think of Metropolis, I often think of the polar opposite of Gotham City. Gotham City should look like. You ever go to like a cathedral and like go like a cathedral common area? I feel like Gotham should look like an endless cathedral with neon like strip club like advertisements and shit like that, just like kind of bolted on to everything. I think the way Gotham City looks in Arkham Knight, like take Miyagani Island and just kind of make that all a Gotham. You have the perfect version of Gotham. It's steampunk-ish, but also cyberpunk, but also stuck in like 1892. I don't know, like that's how Gotham looks to me. And I feel like Metropolis should be the polar opposite. Metropolis should look very shiny. It should look very pristine. It should look like an Art Deco inspired city, but Art Deco without all the concrete. I feel like Metropolis should mostly look like glass. It should look like a giant mirror. That's like the best way I can describe it. I think from what we've seen of the upcoming Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League video game, they have the perfect Metropolis. Like the perfect Metropolis. It's the perfect looking Metropolis. it should be like very shiny, like a lot of silvers and golds and glass. Like, you know how a lot of modern building architecture is very homogenous because everyone's just kind of using the same blueprints for everything because it's cheaper. Or, you know, it's cheaper to, you know, use the same 5 blueprints as opposed to hiring, like, individual architects. I feel like Metropolis should look like that. Metropolis should look beautiful, but, like, soullessly homogenous. Yeah, that's how Metropolis should look to me. Like a city that's just been like gentrified to the point where it has no identity anymore. There's like there are like a few vestiges here and there, like the Daily Planet and yeah, really just the Daily Planet. It should be like the one building that looks out of time. But yeah, that's how I see Metropolis. But I guess I'll move on to my next book here, which is All right, it didn't fuck anything up. I hope I didn't fuck anything up. All right, we're good. But my next book is Vanish by Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman. This book took me by surprise. So I've been pretty upfront with my frustration of a lot of modern comics and this trope of what if superheroes, right? What if superheroes were evil? Huh? I bet you never thought about that with superhero comics. Like, you just... Jesus fucking Christ. Like, I don't know. I think it's an idea that has merit, but just like, Jesus Christ, can we stop overusing it? That said, this book is the exception to that. I think what Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman are doing with the concept is really fascinating. So, corporate elevator pitch featuring Mark Millar and what's left of Alan Moore's soul is Vanish is like, it's Harry Potter meets The Boys, essentially. So, without giving too much away, this book kind of opens in this magical, like Hogwarts-style land called the Everkeep. And basically, it opens with the ultimate climax of, I don't know, what was the last Harry Potter movie, like the Deathly Hallows? Yeah, this basically ends, or I guess this basically begins with the ending of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. But instead of there being like this grand climactic battle, you have the chosen one character basically just like whip out a piece and just shoot Voldemort in the face. And then Voldemort's crew just like just dips. They just nah, we ain't about that life, fam. We ain't doing it. And then they go to the human world. And in the human world, they use their magic powers to like rebrand themselves as superheroes. And the Harry Potter kid grows up in this world that's like dominated by these superheroes who he knows are the remnants of like Voldemort's crew essentially, and he basically develops this mindset of, all right, well if the bad guys are the good guys, well then I'm gonna be the ultimate bad guy, and I'm gonna be Vanish, and I'm gonna kill all the superheroes. It's like, it's really cool. It's really good. It's taking the like, what if superheroes were like evil, and like actually doing something like really interesting and thought provoking with it. Well, not like too thought provoking, but like it. Donny Cates is thinking. Like Donny Cates is like using his brain and like, thinking about like ways to not make this completely derivative concept feel as derivative as it actually might be. There's like a lot of really interesting world building here. The art is fantastic. I mean, that goes without saying. It's Ryan Stegman. But yeah, no, this was all around a super hit for me. I did not expect to like this as much as I did. Yeah, one of my top 10 books of 2022. Really good stuff. Also, I love this cover. I got the covers by Daniel Warren Johnson. This is dope. I don't know where my other copies of Vanish are. I just pulled out the issue 1, but I have been collecting all the Daniel Warren Johnson covers. They're all really good. But yeah. Let's get back to some of the chats. Oh no, I scrolled too aggressively again. Why do I keep doing this? Spreem, in hindsight, do you feel the Steph Robin thing could have worked if it was handled better? Yes, I do. I do think that status quo could have worked. But not the way they were writing Bruce at the time. I don't think it could have worked. It would have been a good idea to have Tim grow up. Well, that's kind of the thing. I think for most of the other Robins, that is the end goal. I think for Dick Grayson, retiring and like settling down and having a family that's the end goal for Dick Grayson. Just like I think, honestly, I think a good ending for Jason Todd is realizing that he has a second chance at life and running off with somebody. I think that's also a high probability for or not probability. DC will never do that. But I think that's a really good direction for the character to go in. But for Tim, see, Tim's different. Tim became Robin not because he needed guidance or direction in life. Tim became Robin because he wanted to be a superhero. So, yeah, like that. I don't think Tim's going to ever retire. I don't think Tim wants to retire. When I think of Tim, I think of a guy who wants to be a superhero for the rest of his life. He wants to be the next Batman. That's his big thing. More than any of the other Robins, like Tim wants to be the ultimate superhero, like Batman is. So I don't really agree with that notion of Tim Drake growing up and retiring. I just don't see that in the cards for that character. Any opinion on Wally West by the Flashbook by Jeremy Adams? Tevye says the main Superman book has been rough. Oh, you're talking about the Son of Kal-El book? Yeah. Yep. Yeah, yeah. I read the first like 3 issues and said nope, nope, nope. And that's me being generous. I feel like if you haven't grabbed me after 3 issues, then just mm mm. Um, Supreme says on the 2000s Bat Family slash Ava cast is similar to Rei Ayanami. What? What? Okay, I'll let you finish. I'll let you finish. Cause you cooking something here. You cooking something here. All right. Cast is similar to Rei Ayanami. Steph is similar to Shinji Ikari, and Bat Jerk Bruce is Gendo Ikari. Thoughts? Because Bruce shows so much love to Cass and keeps emotionally abusing Steph. Okay, well, I see where your read is coming from, but the big thing that separates Rei Ayanami from Cass is that Cass does have goals. Like, Rei is just kind of like a... She's a toy. She's a doll that Gendo uses. And there's a lot of implications there in the Evangelion series that I just don't want to get into. Which are further supported by the end of the Evangelion movie. But yeah, I don't see Bruce and Steph having the same relationship. Or no, I don't see Bruce and Cass having the same relationship that Gendo and Rei Ayanami have. Now, to the comparison of Steph and Shinji, I don't think anyone really in the Bat family is like Shinji. I'm trying to think of like a Bat family member who's like kind of like Shinji. I don't see it. I mean, like, Stephanie wasn't really looking for Bruce's approval. She just kind of did her own thing. And Batman was just kind of like, alright, keep going. You do you, boo. I could see maybe Huntress as being Shinji. Except, no, Huntress is, like, bold and, like... No, you know, Huntress is, like, more like Asuka. Huntress is an Asuka Langley. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's Shinji. I don't know. I can't think of a Bat family member who, like, mirrors Shinji at all. Love the failsafe arc. It's great to have Tim Drake Robin written great in this book. Yeah, no, I agree. That's like another big highlight for me with the Zdarsky run on Batman. He's bringing back Tim, who is, well, I mean, Tim's already been back, but like having Tim specifically as Robin be like a major force in the Batman title again it's very refreshing, you know. I missed having a Batman and Robin comic. I missed having Robin being such a like a major character in the Batman title. I'm glad that Zdarsky's bringing that back. Oh, what's up, 616 man? How you doing? Welcome to the stream. I mean, I see you like have been here for a while, and I'm just going on talking. Tevia says, question, how do you feel about Action Comics? I'll get there. Give me 1 second. So I guess let me finish some of my list and I'll get there. Next up on this list is Miracle Man by Neil Gaiman and Mark Buckingham. Although this isn't the Mark Buckingham and Neil Gaiman issue, this is like the 0 issue, which is interesting. Like it doesn't really have anything to do really with the main Miracle Man book. It's okay. Miracle Man's weird. All right, I guess I'll get into the lore of Miracle Man. Okay, so cards on the table. I was not a fan of the initial Miracle Man run by Neil Gaiman and Mark Buckingham with the Golden Age, I think it was called. Granted, the first time I read the initial Miracle Man run by those two, I hadn't read the original 16-issue Miracle Man series. Well, not the original, but like the original relaunch of Miracle Man by Alan Moore and hold on a second. I got it like right here. In this guy right here. Gary Leach. Oh, and Alan Davis. Interesting. Yeah. I didn't read this when I first read Neil Gaiman's run on Miracle Man. So I was just reading it, going like, this is boring. This sucks. Like, I don't know. I didn't get it. But having read the original 16-issue run by Alan Moore and Alan Davis and Gary Leach, not only do I have like a deeper appreciation for the Golden Age, I also don't think I would have had as much reverence for the current series, which is the Silver Age, if I didn't, because guys, I think Miracle Man like might be my favorite like comic book series in general. Or I guess I'll say, I think Miracle Man might be my favorite superhero comic book series. Like, I love this world. I love these characters. For me, like, this is without a doubt the benchmark for deconstructionist superhero storytelling. And a lot of that just comes down to the simple fact that the archetypes it's deconstructing feel like someone put some actual thought into the storytelling. And, you know, put some actual thought into the archetypes themselves, and were respected in the first place. So, like, all of the critical analysis is coming from a place of love and reverence, as opposed to like the hand wavy kind of like disinterest in superhero mythology, which a lot of other superhero deconstructions kind of fall back on. So I can't really talk about the Silver Age without talking about the Golden Age and the original like 16-issue miniseries, or not miniseries, like maxi series by Alan Moore and Alan Davis. So I don't know. I guess spoilers for this 35-year-old comic. But basically, Miracle Man ends with Michael Moran, who's Miracle Man. Both his superhero name and civilian identity are like alliterations, which is great. Yeah, the original 16-issue series ends with Miracle Man saving the world. You know, there's like a massive upheaval of the status quo of humanity. Concepts like global trade, systems of government, hierarchy of needs, gone. All gone. Yeah, humanity is like fundamentally changed by the end of that series. And Neil Gaiman and Mark Buckingham follow up that series, and they try to explore this brave new world, and they do that in this series called The Golden Age. And in retrospect, a lot of the Golden Age is set up for what Gaiman and Buckingham were trying to do with the Silver Age. And they're doing a lot of exploration of this brand new status quo through the eyes of young Miracle Man, who is Miracle Man's former sidekick. He was more or less dead throughout the original 16-issue series. But throughout the Golden Age, we see Miracle Man trying to resurrect young Miracle Man. And oh, guys. Oh, man. Oh, Jesus Christ. When young Miracle Man is, like, resurrected, he's essentially missed, like, 50 years of his life, as well as human history. So the whole thing where, like, the Miracle Man series, because it's a comic from the UK, everything takes place in real time. So in the 1960s, Miracle Man and the Miracle Man family are thought to be dead in this, like, nuclear explosion. And Miracle Man doesn't die, but he, like, is messed up and, like, goes away. And Kid Miracle Man loses his memories. But all the while that's happening, young Miracle Man's just dead. Like, he got atomized. Like, gone. He's dunzo. And the Silver Age is all about, like, Miracle Man trying to bring back, or I guess the Golden Age is all about trying to bring back young Miracle Man, and he does successfully. It's just when he's resurrected, he's a kid from, like, the 1950s, a white kid from the 1950s who's just been thrown into the present day. But a present day that's, like, imagine our world right now, like, culturally, plus aliens. So, like, I don't know, for me, it is the best Captain America waking up out of the ice story that I've ever seen. It's fantastic. It's a wonderful culture shock kind of story. And Neil Gaiman's also kind of taking ideas that Alan Moore was playing with, and, like, deconstructing some of what Alan Moore is trying to do and trying to say, specifically about sexual assault and sexuality. I don't know. It's hard to get into some of that stuff without spoiling it, but it's really good. I'm loving Miracle Man right now. I've just absolutely fallen in love with this entire world, and yeah, I don't know. This comic's great, and has just completely spoiled evil superhero stories for me. It's completely spoiled superhero deconstruction stories for me. Like I'm gonna have like an impossible time reading like Superman deconstruction stories after reading Miracle Man, because it just takes that concept and actually like thinks about it. Like it doesn't just have Miracle Man break bad because in the real world, if you're that powerful, you just become evil. Like, no, it's not. And okay, newsflash: in the real world, things are complicated. People are complicated. You know, and just because someone's like powerful and wants to like save the world, is there going to be a little tyranny involved in that? Yes. But it's one of those things where I don't know, it's just more complicated than it's presented in like a lot of evil Superman stories. Yeah, no, it's Miracle Man's great. If you're tired of evil Superman stories, but you also kind of like the idea of, you know, Superman in the real world, read Miracle Man. Read Miracle Man. And I guess Superman's Secret Origin. But mainly Miracle Man. And I'll just leave that there. Supreme says, in 2022, been rewatching Evangelion. Question, is Masato a good mentor? Or is she just as bad as Gendo? Because she fails at guiding Asuka and shows so much favoritism towards Shinji. Yeah, you know, I would argue that Masato is worse than Gendo. Masato is worse than Gendo. Awful role model. That whole show is kind of about how adults ruin the world and then expect children to clean up their messes. And then those children grow into adults who further ruin the world and then expect children to clean up their messes. Like, it's... I don't know. Gendo's a bad parent, and Masato is also a bad parent. There are no good parents in Evangelion. They're all bad people. Yeah. Omega says, I think contingency plan stories must end at this point with everyone having their own plans just in case. Yeah, I mean, it always just, like, fails hilariously. Like, everyone just kind of... The point of having contingency plans, or I guess, the point of having secret contingency plans is that they are a secret. And a lot of these big brain geniuses in comics, they just keep getting their contingency plans stolen, and people just keep using them against their friends. It's almost like you shouldn't have contingency plans to kill your friends. It's almost like that's a bad idea. Question, would you do a crossover between Super Sons and Spider-Girl Mayday Parker, and Laura all new Wolverine? Because I think that would be fun. That could be fun. That could be really fun. It's just, would Marvel ever sign off with that with DC. I don't know. Alright, so the next comic I got on here is something that's already been kind of brought up, but it is Starhenge by Liam Sharp. Actually, you can see that this has been signed by Liam Sharp. This is issue 1, and this is issue 2. Actually, can you see that? I don't know. Is it not? Does it pick up on the? Yeah, there it is. So this like weird little thing here, that's Liam Sharp's signature. Yeah, there you go. It's like in like bronze marker. So Liam Sharp is one of those guys who has been working in comics for like ever, and he only recently popped up on my radar after his series the Green Lantern that he did with Grant Morrison. Like as soon as I read that, I was hooked. I've been a fan of Liam Sharp ever since, and I've gone back and like tried to actually read some of his older stuff. He did like a couple Spawn series in the 90s. He also did a couple like 2000 AD comics. And his art style is like heavy metal, but also like very 2000 AD. But there's also a lot of H.R. Geiger in there too. Like, but like H.R. Geiger meets Moebius, you know, like from the Ingalls. So just, it's one of those things where his art style is too unique to describe. You just kind of have to read his stuff and get a feel for it yourself. But when Liam Sharp was announced as writing and drawing his own creator-owned series, I was down, you know. And then I read it, and you can go back and like watch some of the other Let's Talk Comic streams, and as I'm reading them month to month, I'm really digging them. But I don't know. Then like I tried to read like issues 1 through 6 like at once in like one fell swoop, and I didn't get it. Like the first time I tried to read it like in one fell swoop, I was like, was that tripping? Does this actually suck? Because I was gassing this series like a termite. Like that. This is, I don't know, man. I read it all the way through, and I was like, oh shit, this actually might suck. I might have to retract everything I said about this book. But then I read it a couple more times, and then it really started to click with me. This is one of those comics that you just have to read over and over again to really get it. At the very least, I did. This comic is epic. It spans like, I don't know, it's like some 2,000 years. And there are 3 stories that it centers around that all kind of like bleed into each other. The first revolves around this war in the future. I think it's like 2112. Humanity is locked in this losing war with these like demonic space demons who are like AI, and they cut off like human faces and like plaster them onto robot bodies. It's haunting. It's weird. It's gross and disturbing. But that's like the A story. The B story centers around uh, the geopolitical like landscape of 5th century England, and the origins of Stonehenge. And then you have the C story, which follows a teenage girl and her boyfriend, who are the POV characters of the story. And I don't know how to like describe it without spoiling it, but it's fuck it. I guess I'll just say it. So there's a knight in the future who is like the son of the Queen, who's kind of like the queen of humanity, I assume. He goes back in time and is tasked with bringing magic back to the future. And he goes back to 5th century England, and he dubs himself Merlin, and he befriends King Arthur, and he builds Stonehenge. It's really good. Like, it again, if you are really into like sci-fi timey-wimey bullshit, which I guess you can see a recurring theme here. If you haven't already noticed, I'm into science fiction timey-wimey bullshit. But yeah, if you're into that sort of thing, you would really like this book. It does end on a bit of a cliffhanger, so I assume there's going to be a volume 2 of this series at some point in the near future. But as it stands, I was a big fan of Starhenge when I read everything. Like, again, it took me a couple like reads of it, but I'm into this. I'm really excited to see where this the story goes in like a potential volume 2. But also just like the art is like immaculate here. There's this kind of like weird, like these like weird like text sigils that make up like the design philosophy of this comic. It's really good. This comic's great. Like hands down, like one of the goats of 2022. And I'm really glad I got to get this signed by Liam Sharp. Just absolutely fantastic. Again, I'm not gonna toss this one. Just gonna lightly place you down right there. So, all right. I think it was Josiah earlier, like screaming Starhenge. Okay, yeah, there we go. That's my review of Starhenge. It was great. Let's see. Tevi says sounds like the boys comic. Oh, Vanish? Yeah, absolutely, 100%. It's riffing really hard, like really hard off of the boys. Supreme Omega, also on the Steph Robin era. Thoughts on Bruce firing Steph as Robin because she disobeyed one order to save his life? Do you feel it's unfair? Yeah, I do. But I'm trying to remember the context of that whole thing. I remember Bruce firing her because she could have died, and Bruce is still in the mourning process over Jason's death. Like, he never quite got over that. But I don't know, It's just weird. Everything with that whole status quo was weird. It's just all around bizarre. Omega. Connor Kent question. Do you think he should have a bit more Lex in him? Maybe he should be smarter or more vain? Do you think he needs more of Lex traits or Superman's? Well, I kind of like the idea of Connor being the representation of the notion that there's not that much that differentiates Clark from Lex. I mean, Connor's like a bit more of a showboat. He's a bit more of like a shithead, but I don't know. Like like here's the thing I think people like often forget, like including a lot of writers at DC. Superman's like technically a genius. Like Superman is, you know, not like Reed Richards level intelligent, but he's capable of like engineering and you know, doing chemistry and studying biology. Like this dude, he took a slight glance at a wish granting machine in Final Crisis and then brought the technology back to the present with him. Like not physically, like he in his mind. Like he said, "All right, okay, we can do this," and he just from scraps, from a box of scraps in a cave, him and the Legion of Doom built a wish granting machine. So like, yeah, no, just Superman's supposed to be like extremely intelligent. I wish that was highlighted more in Superboy. Superboy is not usually depicted as being like super smart, which is something that kind of is annoying, but you know, whatever. Supreme. After reading some of the bad 2000s Batman comics, honestly, One More Day and Clone Saga don't really seem so bad. At least MJ wasn't raped and tortured to death for 5 whole issues by a creepy skull dude. War Games is really bad. Like, War Games is just a nightmare of a comic. But I think that whole era for Batman is just it's an endless nightmare. Endless nightmare. Until Grant Morrison delivers us from evil, but awful. Just awful era. And I guess speaking of awful eras, I guess I'll be in the minority here. But yeah, this is like one of the few times where I don't understand why. Because for me, Iron Man, the Christopher Cantwell and Cafu, this is the best run on the character in nearly a decade. I feel like after Matt Fraction and Salvador Larroca's run ends, back in like 2012, maybe 2012, 2013, something like that. Iron Man in the comics went through various states and stages of just being a dollar general version of Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man from the MCU. And I don't know, this was the first time in a long time where Tony felt like Tony. You know? Like, you know, and also this is the first time a major like Marvel Comics title felt like a comic book. like paced like a comic book, not ashamed of the comic bookiness of the Marvel Universe. Like, just, it's not trying to feel like a movie. It's not trying to feel like a Big Bang Theory sketch or an SNL skit. This felt like an honest to God 1970s, 1980s era style comic book. It's just like weird stuff like this here, where like Tony's like kind of, he's like trapped in this like matrix, or I guess like, you know, mental matrix of the power cosmic. Like, it's guys, this is peak. This is peak Iron Man. This is great. This comic is, it's building off of like pre-established like Marvel Comics lore, but like respecting it at the same time. And Korvac is like a wonderful foil for Tony Stark in a way, in like ways I just never thought about, honestly. But yeah, no, I'm like really into this comic, which has actually just ended recently. Issue 25 came out, I think 2-3 weeks ago. No, actually a month ago now. Yeah, no, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it real hard. Cantwell and Gafu did an amazing job, and I fucked with it. Toss. There we go. Now I can toss the comics again, because like they're all trade paperbacks now. No, he just ordered. Josiah just ordered the Batman War Games Deluxe Edition. I mean, okay, well, here's the thing. Comics are subjective. So, even though I thought it was crap, and even though Supreme thought it was crap, you might like it. You might like it. You know, that's just how things work, you know? There are a lot of comics that people generally love that I think are terrible. You know? Case in point, people love Flashpoint. I hate Flashpoint. I think Flashpoint is abominable. But people love it. So, you know, it's a thing where, you know, some people are going to like some things, some people aren't going to like some things. I also tend to hate some comics that people genuinely really enjoy. Now as soon as I try to, you know, sorry, other way around. I tend to love comics that people tend to hate. You know, for example, like, the New 52 Wonder Woman book. I love the New 52 Wonder Woman, but a lot of people, it's not their cup of tea, you know? Just kind of is what it is. It'd be like that. You know, it really just be like that. Yeah, I don't know. I say you do you. You know, you check out what you want to check out, you read what you want to read, and then you formulate those opinions for yourself. Yeah. Yeah. Omega says Moon Knight was also really good this year. I only read like the first couple issues of Moon Knight, but I really enjoyed it. I really appreciate what Jed McKay was kind of going for. Yeah, it's like a really fun series. It's, again, much like the Iron Man book by Christopher Cantwell and Cafu, it feels very like 80s Marvel. Like classic 80s Marvel. But I feel that's the case for like a lot of Marvel comics right now. I feel like a lot of Marvel titles are kind of returning to this like sort of unhinged write and draw like nobody's watching you write and draw these stories kind of mentality that you had in a lot of the 80s and 70s and 80s Marvel comics. And DC's also kind of returning to core DC, I feel, where a lot of their books are just they're going big, just going like full on epic. So yeah, no, I don't know what the Rage Bait channel are going to be freaking out about, but Marvel and DC feel the most like classic Marvel and DC since forever. Like, I don't know. I'm with it. I'm down with everything that's coming out right now. I think a lot of it's really good. And I guess speaking of I guess classic DC, here we have Action Comics by Philip Kennedy Johnson, Daniel Sampieri, Ricardo Federico, and I think Miguel Mendoza. This book is great. I mean, I already kind of talked about this. I did a whole video talking about Superman and like the Oedipus complex that character ultimately kind of faces and has faced since the Golden Age of comics. So I don't know. I don't really have much to say on this book, which I haven't said already. But I think this is really good, and I feel like if Philip Kennedy Johnson can maintain the momentum here, I think there's a strong chance that this run on the character in this era will go down as being as iconic as, say, the John Byrne era, or the Dan Jurgens era, or the Jeff Johns era, or the Mort Weisinger era. Like I could totally see this going down as one of the iconic eras of the character, and yeah, again, I'm just excited to see where this all goes. As Tevye was talking earlier in the chat, brought up Action Comics 1050. I really enjoyed that. I thought it was... The whole point of that issue is to essentially take the secret identity reveal that Bendis into the Superman mythology and just kind of like get rid of it. But I thought it was handled in a very tasteful manner. I thought it was handled in a very it felt professional. It felt artistic. It didn't feel hackneyed. It basically took one more day and said, hey, here's how you do this. Here's how you put the genie back in the bottle and, like, not make it dumb. And it's also, like, not disrespectful to Bendis at all. They do a really good job of it. Like, they do a really good job of fixing that part of Superman lore. Although, I'm gonna be honest, and this might be a hot take, I don't immediately dislike the idea of Superman, like, just revealing his secret identity to the world. I don't like it, per se, but I don't hate it. In fact, I think you can do a lot of interesting stuff with that status quo. The problem, though, and it's one of the problems that I had with the way in which DC handled the secret identity reveal, was that nothing interesting was really done with it. You know, like Clark Kent reveals his identity to the world, and there's no real consequence. You know, no one tries to go after the Kents and murder them. I mean, there's like, I think Henry Bendix does something, like he drops a nuclear child on the farm, but like that's whatever. It happened in like the Son of Kal-El book, and that whole matter is just kind of wrapped up in a nice, neat little bow, from what I read. But I don't know. I feel like there are so many implications to Superman doing away with the civilian identity of Clark Kent that just weren't capitalized in that whole era. Like, I'm thinking, if you're gonna have Superman reveal his identity to the world, then you have to fundamentally change the status quo of Superman as a character. Like, that means no more working at the Daily Planet, you know, no more civilian life, no more getting coffee at, you know, the coffee bean or whatever. That's Spider-Man, but, you know, Bean Shack or whatever the fuck. Like, no more, you know, the glasses. And hi guys, I'm Clark. Nope, no more of that. You can't maintain the human elements of the Superman mythos if you do away with the Clark Kent secret identity. You gotta have Clark. You gotta have him like ascend to a realm of like nigh godhood. I'd think, you know, because you've essentially elevated him to a mythological status, and that should be reflected in the mythology. You know, Clark and Lois shouldn't be living out of like a condo in New Troy. The Fortress of Solitude should be moved to the edge of New Troy, which Superman and Lois and their son John live out of. You know, like, there's just, you should change Superman's costume. You know, have a new suit that reflects the new mythological status quo. Just, there's a lot of things I think you can do with that status quo that just weren't done, and for me, that's the real reason why I wasn't really a big fan of the whole status quo shift. Just, you can do interesting stuff with it, they just chose not to. And at the end of the day, it just kind of felt like, why did y'all do this in the first place? But it's whatever. Oh shit! What's up, Common Interest? Hey, long time no see, buddy. How you doing? Hey, what's good? Oh, dude, it's so awesome to see you. Happy New Year, dude. Happy New Year. Omega says, no, watching Netflix? Bet. I was just with my girlfriend the other day watching I think it's Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That's on Netflix. That's really good. What are you watching? That's I'll ask that. Where do you watch it on Netflix? I'm watching Kaleidoscope. Kaleidoscope, what's that? I'm gonna internet Google-fy. Oh, this says Giancarlo Esposito in it? Oh. Oh. Okay. Rosalind Elby. I know that name. Hmm. Don't mind me, chat. I'm just creepily looking up attractive Netflix actresses on the internet. It's totally fine. It's totally fine. It's totally natural for the channel. Huh. Yeah, I know that actress from something. I'm sure I've seen her in I don't know. Maybe I'm just being weird and trying to justify stalking this person because she's attractive. As one does on the internet. It's a high show that you can watch in any order. Oh, weird. That's interesting. Okay. Alright, well, I'm gonna add that to the list. Because I have, like, nothing I'm really watching right now. I just finished watching, True Detective, Season 1. That was really good. And I'm like almost finished watching Dark, which is a really good show on Netflix if you like haven't seen it, but it's all in German. I know some people have a problem watching like, you know, foreign shows, but I thought Dark was really good. It's like a timey-wimey like horror kind of series. It's really good. But yeah, thanks for the recommendation, bro. Will do. But alright, so I just have like one last comic here. The last comic. And I'm sure this is going to surprise absolutely nobody. But it's The Flash by Jeremy Adams. This comic is amazing. This is everything Flash fans have been asking for since the original Flash Rebirth back in 2008 or 2009, I think, when that book came out. Like, this run is nothing short of just an ever endearing love letter to the legacy of the Flash, as well as the DC universe as a whole. And I don't know. I'm just at a loss here because I don't really have much to say on this. It just, this is everything that Flash comic book fans have been asking for. This is everything that DC Comics fans are looking for in DC Comics. It's big, it's bold, it's daring, it's insane. It's it's like a Saturday morning cartoon, but like in the best way possible. It's epic, it's grand in nature. Like, I don't know, like it's hard to like say anything like super critical of this book because I just have such a I have like such a great time reading it, you know. I will say one thing that this book does one thing that traditionally does irk me with comics, and it's that it changes artists a lot, but it doesn't. Whenever the book is changing artists here, there's always a story and narrative reason behind it. Because even when like the artist will change within the same issues, it's all story dependent. Particularly with this first arc here, you have a whole thing where Wally West is being shot through the multiverse, and he's possessing the bodies of every speedster in existence. So you have Wally inhabiting the body of Bart Allen in the 32nd century. You also have Wally inhabiting the body of a caveman. Why are there dinosaurs in this era? I don't know. But shut up. It's cool. Just don't think about it. That's why. You also have Wally inhabit the body of Jay Garrick on a secret mission to steal the Spear of Destiny from Hitler. In like a, they don't give a year. I think it's like, well, America has officially entered the war, so I assume it's like 1944, 1945. But yeah, no, you see like Wally like inhabiting the body of Jay Garrick here in the past. And I don't know, this book also does a lot of really interesting it has like it does a really interesting thing with the panel layout. Like it's doing that thing where it's not trying to be a movie, it's not trying to be a TV show, not trying to be a skit like the Iron Man book. It embraces the fact that it is a comic book, and it uses the uniqueness of comic books as a storytelling medium to its advantage. There's a really good arc in the second volume of this run, where Wally teams up with Dr. Fate, and they end up going to Gem World to help Queen Amethyst, as well as a bunch of other magic users in the DC universe, fight Eclipso. And Dr. Fate, like, is acutely aware of the fact that he is in a comic book, and he casts a spell on Wally West, and Wally can suddenly see the reader, and Dr. Fate and Wally are working together to get the reader to engage with the narrative itself. Like, it becomes an interactive experience. So, you know, there's bits where Dr. Fate will say, turn the book upside down, and then you have like Wally and Dr. Fate like falling through the panels, or you'll have Dr. Fate say, I can see into the future, we're going to be surrounded, quick reader, and he'll like turn to the the camera and say, blow on the page and blow out the candles, and when you turn the page, it's all dark. It's Jeremy Adams is a godsend. I don't know where this man came from. I think he's like a movie writer, he's a screenwriter, but like, he just feels so at home in the medium of comics. Just, oh, oh, oh my God, The Flash is great. Such a good book. And yeah, that's why like it's again, it's one of my favorites. But yeah, those are my top 10 favorite comics of 2022. I just had an absolute blast with really everything I read this year, or I guess last year. Common interest. Can't watch it because it's in a different language. LOL. Yeah. Oh, Dark. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just accustomed to like watching anime, so yeah, it's, the whole foreign language thing I'm completely desensitized to. But I totally get people like, that's a deal breaker. I get it. Omega says, why artists don't experiment with Superman's colors? Why are his alternative costumes just the same red and blue stuff? Um, yeah, I don't know. I think you can. You know what it is? I don't think it's a thing with the artist. I think it's a thing with editorial and marketing. You can't change Superman's costume. I think that's the real reason. Um, Although I do like Superman in black. I think Superman looks really cool in black. Wait, Jeremy Adams wrote the Netflix Death Note? Are you serious? No. No. What? Are you serious? Oh, okay. Let's see. I'm pulling up this dude's IMDb right now. Okay. He wrote for Supernatural. He wrote Teen Titans Go versus Teen Titans. Mortal Kombat, Scorpion's Revenge. Alright, so far, this looks pretty good. Batman Superman Battle of the Super Sons, okay, also really good. Mortal Kombat Legends Snowblind, also really good. DC Showcase Blue Beetle, also great. Justice Society World War II, also great. The best Flash and JSA movie that we will never see on the big screen. Monkey Kid, I don't know what that is. Lego Monkey Kid, I don't know what that is. Scooby-Doo Sword of the Scoob, never watched it, but I'm gonna watch it now because I like Scooby-Doo. More Lego Monkey Kid, I don't know, man. Batman Soul of the Dragon, also great. Fantastic. Although it is one of those things where Batman didn't have to be there, but you can clearly tell Batman's in this because if he wasn't, no one would have bought it. It's just the reality of that situation. Lego DC Shazam. Never watched it. Lego Jurassic World. That never watched it. He did a couple of. Oh, he did like one episode of Young Justice. Yeah, I'm not seeing Death Note on here. Nope. Unless IMDb is lying to my face. Nope. I don't see Death Note on here. Which, thank God, you know. Jeremy Adams, your legacy remains intact. Omega earlier said, I don't know, I think Perry at this point should know that should know Clark Kent's identity. Same with Jimmy. Well, that's also like a weird thing with so Perry White's a weird character. In my heart of hearts, I feel like Perry White should know that Clark Kent is Superman. Just like it's one of those things where I feel like it should be similar to how Jim Gordon knows that Bruce Wayne is Batman. Like, he knows, but he doesn't want to, like, admit to himself that he knows. You know? Like, I don't know. Like, Perry having a heart attack, or, like, actually, no. He has a stroke. Perry White has a stroke when he's confronted with the knowledge of Clark Kent being Superman. But I feel like it shouldn't surprise him all that much. I feel like he should know. He would know. He's not dumb. Just like Jim Gordon's not dumb. Jim knows that Bruce is Wayne is not. Well, yeah, Bruce is Wayne. But yeah, Jim knows that Bruce Wayne is Batman. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things where that's my headcanon, but if DC wants to say otherwise, or if other writers working at DC want to say otherwise, I get it. It's sure. I had the same thing with Aunt May knowing that Peter's Spider-Man. I really like the idea of Aunt May just knowing that Peter's Spider-Man. I feel like in a way it kind of gives that character a little more agency. But let's see. Supreme also says, on Greg Rucka, I love his work on Gotham Central with Renee, but I'm not a fan of his take on Batman himself. I feel like he's one of the main contributors to Bat Jerk, not a fan of the OMAC Project. So I haven't read the OMAC Project in a long time, but I do... Okay, so from what I remember of Gotham Central, one, I think that book is co-written by Ed Brubaker. I don't know for a fact Ed Brubaker does not like Batman, so I could totally see Ed Brubaker writing the issues that just kind of like throw Batman under the bus completely. But also, I don't know, I think Batman being a jerk in Gotham Central works because that book is from the perspective of the Gotham City Police Department. It's from the perspective of the Major Crimes Unit. And naturally, those guys would not like Batman. Like, so, I don't know, with that in mind, I'm okay with Batman being an asshole, like coming off like an asshole, in Gotham Central, because it's from the perspective of these cops who already don't like Batman and have like a weird inferiority complex compared to like when they think of themselves in comparison to Batman. So I think that's one of those cases where I'm fine with it. Like, I'm okay with it. Mick says, by the way, with the mind wipe, does that mean no one from the Justice League no longer remembers who Superman is? No, I think Batman says that because the Justice League and the Teen Titans and the Bat family all have like advanced like mind blocking technology, they all know, they all remember, but like most it's basically a way to say like side characters and NPCs in the DC universe aren't going to remember that Superman is Clark Kent. So, you know, basically all the important characters are going to remember, but like, you know, no one else will, which I'm fine with. I did think it was weird how, granted, I didn't read the Bendis run, but it kind of comes off like Lex didn't know that Clark was Superman, and that surprises me. That was one of the things, against headcanon. I feel like Luthor would just figure out at some point. He just knows. Like he doesn't want to confront the idea because it's like a direct affront to everything he projects onto Superman. But yeah, no, the Philip Kennedy Johnson was like very kind of careful to retcon. Not really retcon, but like put the genie back in the bottle with the secret identity. So like, the main players know who Superman is, but like no one else does. Also on adaptations, I always sorry, I'm gonna say that again. Also on adaptations, I always wonder why most Bat adaptations seem to exclude Cass and Steph. They're more okay at adapting David Kane and Cluemaster, but not their daughters. Interesting. Yeah, Cluemaster's in the Batman. I mean, I don't see that guy having a daughter at all. I don't see that character procreating at all. Within the confines or outside of the confines of holy matrimony. But has David Kane been in anything? I can't think of anything he's been in. I don't know. But yeah, no, that was also a big thing I had. I thought about this one watching gameplay for Gotham Knights. I really don't see there to be a need to have Barbara Gordon as the Batgirl of that universe. Like, Barbara's whole thing is being like worried about not living up to the Batman legacy, and that's not really a thing that Barbara Gordon's traditionally like concerned with. That's like almost directly a Cassandra Cain. In fact, no, not almost. That is directly a Cassandra Cain characterization. So I don't know why Cassandra's not in that game. Also, like, that game's built on the idea of like a makeshift family, and Cassandra is like Bruce's adopted daughter from a psychotic international like assassin. I think she would have been perfectly at home, honestly, in that game, but I don't know. It is what it is. Gotham Knights, I'm hearing, is a dead game at this point, though, so that kind of is what it is. But I do hope in the upcoming like DCU, like under James Gunn and Peter Safran, I do hope that Cassandra and Steph get more love. I'd like to see those characters fleshed out more on the scale of like pop culture. Which Robin are you gonna cosplay? Just like a nebulous Robin. I'm kind of going intentionally vague with it, but I'm building off of the Teen Titans animated series character design. Kind of like a weird cross between the Teen Titans animated series and Robin from Batman Arkham City. That's kind of what I'm going for. I could like show you like what it would look like when it's all done. Unless you guys would want to see like a progress style video, like of me making the suit, which would really just be me making the tunic. Well, not tunic. I'm doing the shirt because Robin doesn't have a tunic in the animated series of Teen Titans. He just wears a red shirt. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm going for. I can show you guys what that looks like. So far the shirt is proving to be the most difficult process, the most difficult part of the cosplay building process. But yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm really excited. This is the first time since my Static Shock cosplay I've like actually built a costume. Oh, I'm so excited to have it all come together. All important characters, like the Titans, are more important to Clark's life than Jimmy. Is Jimmy under the dome in Action Comics 1050, or is he like not under the dome? I don't remember. I can totally see Clark just like coming out to Jimmy again. Or Jimmy figuring it out through like machinations or whatever. Supreme says, I wonder if Bruce Timm and Paul Dini looked at Spoiler, Cassandra Cain, Azrael, and Helena Bertinelli and said, who the hell are these people? Probably. Although Bruce Timm has done covers for DC Comics in like some of their events in the past. In fact, I distinctly remember Bruce Timm doing a cover for No Man's Land, right? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, Bruce Timm did a cover for No Man's Land. So, even if he was like, who the fuck are these people? He still drew them. Supreme says, also I hate Bernard. He comes from the Bill Willingham Robin run, aka the worst Tim Drake Robin run, and Willingham is also one of the main writers of War Games. Was he? Huh. I don't think I got to the. I don't think I got to the part of the Robin run that reaches War Games. Yeah, I think I've just read the Chuck Dixon material. But yeah, I might check it. I might pick it up at some point in the near future. My plan is for this year, in terms of like filling out some of my trade collections, which I mean I don't have to fill out my trade collection. In fact, there are a million other things I really should be spending my money on than comics. But there's 52 weeks in a year. You know, we got time. But big thing I want to do is I want to collect all of Nightfall. And those trades aren't that expensive. They're like $20 a pop. So that's really not bad. It's just a lot of them. That's the problem. But I want to collect those Nightfall trades, and I am gonna get the Miracle Man Omnibus, which is supposed to drop in March. So that's gonna be after Katsucon. So I mean, hopefully I have money after Katsucon. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna get that. And I do want to finish collecting some of the Tim Drake Robin material. Because I mean, originally I've been told it's all good, but y'all are sitting here telling me that like it's like crap. So y'all got me out here second guessing myself. But I do. I saw this just came out last week. I do want to get the Dennis O'Neil Shazam series, because that's the material that like properly brings Billy Batson and the Marvel family into the DC universe. So I'm excited to like get into that material, and also read that at the same time as I'm reading Miracle Man, who's basically just a rip-off character of Captain Marvel. Yeah, guys, on that note, thanks for coming by. Thanks for, making this show possible throughout 2022. I had a great time, making all these live streams with you guys. Like, easily one of the highlights of my week. It's great. And, I hope, we can do, we can do more in the future, I'm definitely going to do a live stream tomorrow, finishing up the Miles Morales game, or at the very least, not finishing up, but, further progressing in the story of that game. And I might do like some side missions here or there in like a separate video. But hey guys, thanks for watching, and as always, until next time, adios nachos, adios.